Hey everyone. Today I want to shed light on a crisis that's been largely overlooked by the global media. I'm talking about Goma, North Kivu and the broader eastern region of the Democratic Republic of Congo, also known as the DRC. This area has been suffering from an intense and ongoing conflict for decades, a conflict that has devastating consequences for millions of people. First, let's talk about the armed groups. The region is teeming with various militias, including the notorious M23. These groups are fighting for control over land and resources, often committing heinous acts like killings, rapes, and the forced recruitment of children. The violence isn't just random, it's driven by deep-rooted political and ethnic tensions, many of which stem from the aftermath of the Rwandan genocide. Now, you might think the government is stepping in to help, but the reality is far more complicated. The Congolese army, known as the FARDC, is often embroiled in the fighting. However, they're plagued by issues like corruption, lack of discipline, and sometimes even committing abuses against civilians themselves. Weak governance and insufficient military capacity make it nearly impossible for the DRC government to provide security to its people, allowing these armed groups to thrive. But it's not just a local issue. Regional powers like Rwanda and Uganda have been accused of interfering in the DRC's conflicts. Rwanda in particular has been linked to supporting the M23 and other rebel groups to combat militias like the FDLR, which poses a threat to Rwanda's security. Uganda has also had its hand in the conflict, making the situation even more complicated and unstable. And then there's the international community. Organizations like the United Nations have been involved in peacekeeping missions for years, primarily through MONUSCO. While they've provided some protection, many criticize their efforts as inadequate. The presence of international peacekeepers often feels like a band-aid on a gaping wound, insufficient to stop the violence or address its root causes. The history of colonialism also plays a significant role here. The DRC's borders were arbitrarily drawn by European powers without regard to ethnic or cultural divisions. This left a fragmented state where conflicts could easily ignite. Decades of authoritarian rule and ongoing corruption have further weakened the government's ability to control its territory. Let's not forget the rich natural resources in the eastern DRC like gold, cobalt and coltan. These resources should be a blessing, but they've turned into a curse. Rebel groups and foreign powers have been fighting over these valuable assets, leading to exploitation, environmental damage, and widespread suffering. So, who's to blame for all this? The tragic answer is that there's no single party at fault. It's a complex web of local, national, regional, and international issues. The people of Goma and Eastern Congo are caught in this web, suffering immense hardship. More than 5 million people have died since the 1990s, and millions more have been displaced. The world has largely turned a blind eye to this silent war, but it's time we start paying attention. The solution isn't just ending the violence, but also addressing the underlying issues like governance, economic inequality, and the region's ethnic dynamics. Thanks for watching, and let's spread the word about Goma's hidden crisis. Stay informed, stay compassionate,